Hi guys, welcome back to It's Kind of a Big Deal. I'm Olivia Bondi and this is my co-host Jenna Horton.
Today we're recording episode 12.
We're talking about something today that I think at face value seems a little bit boring, but it's something that is really important to talk about when we're reaching these kind of natural life stages that you hit in our age group. And Jenna also feels very strongly about this topic. So we're going to hash it out today.
Yeah. Today we're talking about we do not believe in mortgage insurance. Yes. And the flip side of that is we believe in life insurance.
Yeah, for some people.
For some, you're right.
Yeah,
yes.
So we want to talk about kind of what life insurance is, who it might be applicable for, how much life insurance you should be taking out, and kind of what that looks like in the event of an unexpected death.
Yeah, exactly. And so when we talk about this being a little bit boring, that's one part of it. And another part is that some people don't want to talk about insurance because you're talking about the end of your life or the potential of that, which is scary and sad, but it's reality.
Yeah, and it's always good to be prepared.
Yeah.
So maybe let's just start off with like what is life insurance for people that might not know.
Yeah, so life insurance would be a tax-free payment to your beneficiaries when you die.
Yeah. So it can be, it's an agreement between you and an insurance company. So it's not a set amount. A lot of times our employers, when you do get your big girl job for the first time and you're filling out like who your beneficiary is, I think it's difficult to decide who that is. The natural person to choose is your parents.
Yeah.
But I think as we're getting older, we need to start to reconsider that choice and making sure that you're updating that as well often if your employer doesn't trigger you to do so. Like ours triggers us every year when we do our ORWP.
Okay, good to know because I didn't know that.
Did you even do your ORWP? No. Okay.
But I'm on it. I'll get on that now.
Yeah,
and this is why we
list.
have these conversations for these reminders.
Yep.
Yes. And like we discussed also is like your parents might be a beneficiary, but they're also getting old. And so is that the best place for that payout to go to?
Yep.
Do they need that money? Would they be responsible with that money? And I think with a lot of insurance policies, you can also split that. So you have two sisters, for example. So maybe you do 50-50 and then you don't have to start family drama.
I actually remember that when I worked at Nova, I think I had split it out between
all of them,
my siblings versus my parents.
Yeah.
And keeping in mind that whoever your beneficiary is, like I think it's important to ask yourself, is this person able to manage their own money in life? And what are they going to do with, $100 or $200 or $1 million?
Exactly.
Whatever your life insurance premium is. When they get it, should that happen, are they going to be responsible enough to actually manage your money and assets and paying off your debts appropriately, or are they going to go buy a boat and a Rolex and ball out?
Exactly. And I mean, like maybe a little bit of that is, but there's a balance. And so for myself, at least, I know that my brother is my beneficiary, but he's not in a position right now that would be responsible to take on that amount of money. So then my cousin is my executor in my will, and then she would be able to take over control of all of that and then give it to him when she feels necessary.
Okay, when she feels responsible.
So she has more control. So like I think the money will still go to him, but there's so many creative ways to work this stuff through your will and through your insurance and with your professionals to get that sorted out.
This is so dark, but when we were kids, I remember like we always had these conversations with my parents about like
as children.
Yeah, like who and I don't know why, but like who our beneficiary was of my parents' estate and who the executor was and who we would live with.
Right.
Like, and I always like role played through this. So like my sisters, I think we were like to go with our godparents.
Which is separate. You all have different godparents.
Yeah, it was just like, that wouldn't happen. And like my Uncle Mike was the one that like controlled the money. And like, I would like that night thinking about like worst case scenario, like, is he gonna, delegate the money properly? And like my parents were
like how old?
Oh, like young, like when I was like 7 years old, like we would talk about this at length, and I would like picture what my life would look like.
Oh my gosh! See, like that's I think something else we need to talk about on the podcast is like talking to children about money. Because that might be a bit extreme, but you know what? Even going to bed fine and not worrying about it at all. I think that's also your personality.
Yeah, absolutely. Like my parents like instilled that in me from when I was young. Maggie was like with her Tamagotchi, like la di da, and I'm laying in bed and I'm like, oh no, the family's gonna be divided.
Oh my God.
Mentally ill.
Yes, from age 7.
Yeah, always. Okay, so I want to share with you. Jenna knows this as well, but when I bought my first house. that's when the conversation about life insurance for me as an adult really started rolling, was when I got my first job, when I got my first house. And
It was probably mortgage insurance when you got a mortgage.
yes,
That's what would have triggered the
it
conversation.
did trigger the conversation. And okay, as a rule of thumb, I am a no insurance girly. Like,
But ask her how many insurance claims she has on her home,
a
which
lot.
is separate
A lot.
than life insurance.
But no, when I got my house, I was like, do I need home insurance? This is how stupid I was.
Legally in Canada, if you don't have a mortgage, you do not need.
Yeah,
I
so
just looked
as
this
soon
up.
as I paid my mortgage off, I was like, I don't need home insurance anymore. And then luckily I had some brains and I was like, wait, I still need home insurance. And I've had a number of claims.
Big claims.
Big claims, like $70,000 house fire, floods, all of the thing claims. So thank God, sorry to my insurance company. But like with anything else, like Apple Care, I'm like, no. Protection plans, like everywhere.
Car insurance on a rental car in Vegas.
No. Bumper to bumper, pass. Driving through Italy in a car, insurance, no, pass. So as a rule of thumb, I think you have to be careful with those insurance premiums. Like when you even look at Apple Care and you look into the fine print, like someone like me does, I'm like, I could buy a new iPhone over, if I lose an iPhone every 10 years.
Which you lose one every year.
Okay. In theory, if I were to lose an iPhone every 10 years, losing it is my problem, okay?
Yeah.
Apple Care doesn't cover if it's lost.
Okay.
The Apple Care that I was looking into. So I was like, why am I paying for something when they're like, yeah, it can be smashed and you can bring it back in like a Ziploc bag. And I'm like, yeah, but what if it's running the streets of Mexico? Like, I'm a no insurance girly.
Right.
So when I was thinking about that logistically with my parents, like mom was like, I don't know, maybe you should get life insurance or home insurance. I was like, if I were to die and I have this mortgage, you would sell the house and pay off the debt.
Yeah.
Right. Like I had enough equity to pay off any debt that I was owing. I never want to, and that is a huge part of people that should have life insurance, which I think would probably be the large majority of people that don't have life insurance, is people who have an excess of debt.
Right, and then you're going to burden your loved ones, your beneficiaries, with all of that debt.
That debt doesn't disappear.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. So making sure that you have enough equity and or life insurance coverage to cover your debt, so that's taken care of if something were to happen to you.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think like when we're talking about who needs life insurance, in that situation, you would have been 18 years old, you didn't have any dependents, and you had an excess amount of equity to cover your debts. So when we're looking at someone who needs life insurance, it would be someone that either doesn't have enough equity to cover their debts or they have dependents.
Yep. And I'm at a stage now where I'm like, I'm teeter-tottering.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't really need life insurance still, because my assets would be taken care of in the event that something happened to me. But now that I have someone that not that I didn't have someone that cares about me deeply before, but now that I have like a spouse that I think I would want to make sure that he could take some time off work. If something were to happen to me, and we are somewhat codependent on each other. In our lifestyle. So
and like it would take a certain amount of time too. Like for your example specifically, you're running quite a few rental properties, and so like it would take a certain amount of time to list those, sell those, if that was what needed to happen to pay off the debts. And it would be nice for your spouse to have some money to float the in between.
Not to mention like 90% of what goes on in my businesses lives up here.
People don't know.
People don't know. Like they don't know who the contacts are. My tenants wouldn't know where the rent flows. So I would want to make sure that there's enough, and maybe that's something to look into as well, right? Like making sure that you have people. Like I'm fortunate I have Alyssa. That's something that I think about often, which is so weird. It's like if something were to happen to me before I had Alyssa with Forget Me Not Jewels, all the people that placed orders, and they just never got their orders.
Right, they're just waiting.
They're just waiting, and they don't know that I died.
Right, and this could be another whole episode as well, but like we need to talk about that. Like we'll have somebody on, like a lawyer on, and talk about wills, and then a document outlining all of these things.
To make sure that like in the movies, I was watching this show last night, and like someone had died, and the lawyer comes in and he reads it off.
Right.
And I'm like, that's not real.
No, it's not real.
Like I wish that was real, but it's not real.
So back to life insurance. Now you need to take care of Aaron, or you may. I think I'm in a similar situation where it's like, I don't really need it, but I don't think it would hurt. And life insurance is very affordable, especially when you're our age and you're healthy, right? And so like sometimes they will do a medical, they'll come in and take your blood and whatnot, or they'll call your doctor to make sure you've been in to see them. But it's very affordable, like probably $20 a month.
And we were so fortunate. So this is a funny thing. In the Ontario
Oh,
group
yeah.
of realtors.
Yeah.
We have never had benefits until last year. And we got benefits as a group. And because as a group, we were such, like, how many realtors would there be? I don't know. Crazy. Like
50,000
a staggering
yeah.
number of realtors in across Ontario. So we were able to buy into a plan at a very affordable rate.
Yeah.
I think it's a cost of like $50 per member per month. And that gave us life insurance. It gave us benefits. It gave us like a disability kind of if you're injured. And within our board, like, people were screaming at the luncheons.
Rioting.
And the people that were the most worked up were the people that, like, they would have had to pay an insane amount for a premium because they're so old.
And unhealthy, like they wouldn't qualify for insurance.
Yes. Whereas people like us that are young and healthy and probably could get an insurance premium at a similar rate as an individual, we're like, this is great.
Yeah.
Like, don't you want your family to have
Absolutely.
something? And then that took care of us all.
Yes.
Right? As a group.
Exactly.
And they were like, I don't need it because I have my own life insurance policy. But, like, collectively as a group, we were like, this is good for
everyone.
Our entire career.
Yeah.
Like, our entire association of realtors.
Exactly.
So making sure, that you might not need it now, but let's say even if you got cancer like at a young age.
Yeah, and it happens.
Like, we're seeing more and more of that. So if you were to get cancer after that, once you've had a diagnosis like that, it's extremely expensive and difficult to get life insurance.
Yes. So getting it as young as possible.
Yeah.
And you can also there's like whole life term insurance, and then there's also just like certain terms. So like I just looked at a 10-year policy.
Yeah.
And so for me, I have a certain goal that I'd like to be mortgage free in 10 years. And so right now my only debt would be my mortgage. And so I got enough money on my life insurance to cover the mortgage, and then that will be it.
Yeah, and okay, so let's talk about the difference between mortgage insurance versus life insurance. So when you get a mortgage, they are going to trigger you at that time they're going to ask you the question, do you want mortgage insurance?
It's kind of like a sales thing for them, really, I think. Like a mortgage company is like, well, this is a great opportunity to sell another product with your mortgage.
That's like me beefing with the girl at GMC when Aaron bought his truck.
Yes.
And she was trying to sell him
all the warranties.
Every single warranty under the sun.
Yeah.
And she said to him, like, I can tell who wears the pants in this relationship.
Excuse me?
Yeah. And then there was flowers when we went to pick up the truck for me, and I was like, sus.
Yeah, she has regrets.
Anyways, so at that time, and I think you're like, I don't know, like, do I need this?
And a lot of first-time home buyers, they don't know. We're young and we don't know what we're doing at that point. There's so many questions when you're getting a mortgage. So the thing with mortgage insurance is that you're taking on a premium every month. So maybe it is a similar cost to life insurance, $20 a month. However, with that, every single month you paid on your mortgage, the amount that's going to be paid out to you or your loved ones, your beneficiaries, is decreasing.
Yeah.
Because the mortgage insurance only covers what's remaining on the mortgage. So 10 years from now, your mortgage is $100,000 less, and you're still paying the same $20 a month. Whereas with life insurance, you pay that $20 a month premium, and then you're getting the same amount to your beneficiaries at that time.
Yeah, the same agreed upon amount regardless of how much time has passed. So you're way better off bang for your buck to take out life insurance.
Exactly.
Than mortgage insurance. And then that money can be applied to anything.
Yes.
Right? Like, it can be applied to
a funeral cost. Which we looked up last week at average between $5,000 to $20,000 for a funeral. Just depends how bougie you want to get, I guess. Like, bury me in gold or something.
I want a gold casket.
Yeah, I bet.
I told Braden I'm going to be wheeling him out on a fridge cart.
Oh my God.
Because, well, we don't have enough weight to carry him. No. And he only has 2 friends. So.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Braden.
You may want to take on more insurance if you have children, because like we talked about with your godparents, all 3 of you would have been dispersed to different families.
Wouldn't have flown.
But those people, if someone's going to take on the care of your child, I think it's responsible for you to leave a certain amount of money for that person if you are able to.
Right.
So taking on some life insurance, and that money can either be put into a trust for your child until they're 18 or 25, or that money can then go to this new caregiver to take care of your kids.
Well, and that's what's funny is, so when we were looking it up, it said that the recommended amount was 10 to 12 times your annual income.
Right, which
Wait, do you think that's still accurate?
I don't know. I guess it depends on what your income is. Like if you're making $50,000 a year, then that's, what is that, 600,000?
That's it. That's pretty.
it's pretty good.
Significant.
Yeah, it is. I guess it depends, like looking at your debts and stuff, and then I think too, like meeting with a professional. So obviously we're real estate agents, we're talking about this stuff, but talk
Very
to a professional.
unqualified.
Yeah, let's just put a disclosure there that we don't sell insurance, but
No.
we're just talking from our own experiences and our own life.
Yeah, yeah. So like personally, right now, I have, I think, probably $200,000 of life insurance.
And I only have the 100 that we get through our association of realtors. So,
Right.
But that would be enough, I think, to like.
Well, I actually think I have more than that because we have some through Aaron's work as well.
Oh,
so
good.
let's say we have $300,000 life insurance.
Yeah.
That's like Aaron would be buying a boat.
Yeah, and
know.
a Rolex for sure.
And
You'd
a
be getting a
Rolex for
Rolex.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think too.
You know what I just remembered? Okay, every time Aaron and I bring up this conversation, he always goes, "What am I going to do with all this money? All these properties?"
He's just like waiting, like, okay,
TikTok.
let's go.
Yeah.
Oh
and I'm
my
like,
God.
"Sweetie, you are not my beneficiary."
He doesn't even know. Oh my God.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
That's crazy.
So, and I
That's
wonder,
funny.
you know what we should ask the lawyer as well? Does marriage change your beneficiary?
I think no. We're going to
tuned.
ask, stay tuned, but I think no. Another thing to consider is, I'm looking at myself and yourself, is that we're talking about if we die, what our family would do. But what if Aaron was to die, sorry, Air. I think that it's really important to look at our business and like, we may be fortunate, but we don't get paid unless we go to work. And so it's important for our spouses to have life insurance because we're gonna need to take some time off to grieve.
Yep.
So I think that that's something to really consider if you're a business owner and if you are commission-based sales.
Yeah, like 100% commission based. So like you're also not earning money if you're not performing. Like
Yes.
I could go to my old job and like
Yeah, just like cry at my desk.
limp through.
Yeah.
But, you know, in our business,
Yeah.
people are going to be able to tell. You're
Yeah.
not going to have your sales.
Yeah, you're not in a sales mood or sales ability once you're grieving the loss of a loved one. And so I think that's really important for anyone who is commission based or 100% self-employed, that having insurance on your spouse is very important as well.
As well as for if you have like a dynamic in your relationship where one person is significantly the breadwinner.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
Like if you have a husband who works and you have a stay-at-home mom who's been a stay-at-home mom for, you know, some time, that's going to be a huge adjustment to your lifestyle. And you shouldn't be expected to be catapulted back into the workforce because you have to be.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And I think it's okay too to like have this conversation within your relationship that it might be like in that situation, having more life insurance on the person who is making the income, and maybe you need a little less life insurance on the person who is staying home or who is making less money. Because the spouse that's working deserves to take some time off, but they're not going to need the financial support that the person who's no longer in the workforce
Absolutely.
needs.
And like not having any shame in that, right? Like it's a financial decision because it does cost money to carry these premiums.
Exactly.
So think logically about, you know, where the money needs to be spent and how life would be impacted terribly in either situation, but thinking about how life would be impacted financially from one partner versus the other.
Exactly. Yeah, and I know it's not easy to have these hard conversations, but it's so important. So we definitely encourage everybody to sit down with their partners or your parents or whoever's in your life and have the hard conversation.
And you can use us as an excuse.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. You can say, hey, I was listening to a podcast today and we need to have this conversation.
Yeah, and I hope you don't need to use it, but it's good to have.
Yeah, and then we'll post maybe on our Instagram some good life insurance contacts.
Yes, exactly. We both have our separate
where where you can start if you don't have any insurance and you're looking to get some. It's kind of like investing. You can start with a very small amount and it can be affordable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thanks guys.